I want to confine my focus and efforts to the devastating drought that's impacting not only my district but other San Joaquin Valley members of Congress as well as the entire state of California. Madam Secretary and Deputy Secretary, you can determine how you want to first respond to these following questions. But I'd like to, for the record, read some excerpts from a letter that came this week from the Bishop of the Archdiocese of Fresno, Bishop Ochoa, who's to President Obama. Dear Mr. President, the lack of water is impacting everyone: farmers, ranchers, dairymen, their employees, faith communities, the businesses that serve them. The situation is quickly deteriorating into a humanitarian crisis. Businesses are shutting their doors and others are laying off employees. Access for children and families to clean, drinkable water is uncertain. Legislators struggled to craft an equitable public policy ensuring the state's present and future water needs. Lines at food banks and human service agencies have doubled due to this issue, and in fact, our Catholic Charity Services went from 87,000 units of service in 2012 to 137,000 units in 2013. These numbers are expected to double this next year if the water situation does not change. We are reminded in this time of drought of our dependence on the Creator. However, our human dignity relies on the access to water. With unanimous consent, I'd like this to be submitted for the record. And
All objection will be part of the record.
Some other statements as well. Madam Secretary, you indicated that you're using the best science available, but yet the biological opinions that are being the operational guidelines for the federal and state projects were formulated in 2007 and 8. They haven't been updated. The National Academy of Science plan in May of 2012 recommended modifications and changes. They have not been added to the biological opinion. As a matter of fact, the plan that under your agency for the smelt, which is one of the issues that we're having to address, has not been changed since 1996. How can you tell us that we're using the best science available?
Now, Congressman, I appreciate the very significant situation in the California drought and recognize that it doesn't just impact Californians, it impacts all Americans because of the food produced in that state.
Half the nation's fruits and vegetables, and I could go on and on and on, but I
understand.
won't.
We are very committed to bringing all the resources we can to support the California drought situation, including additional investments in science. I'm going to turn to my colleague, Mike Connor, to give you specifics related to the biological opinions and so on.
Well, but also I'd like to, in that, and Mr. Connor might want to respond, you describe providing enough flexibility. What is enough flexibility? Because I think that's a very general description.
Two things. The biological opinions, as we've discussed, have been litigated over. There have been issues found with them, but the biological opinion, particularly the Delta smelt biological opinion, was recently upheld
on technical procedures.
By the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals.
On technical procedures.
But I would agree with your premise. We use the best available science to develop the biological opinions, and then we continue to pursue new data, new information. And that's what we're doing right now, and we're doing it in a much more collaborative manner outside of the courtroom. With respect to the flexibility, what's enough flexibility is constantly evolving. This year, given the drought conditions, we have responded aggressively with an eye towards the needs of the communities. We absolutely agree with the concerns expressed by the Archbishop. We need to be aggressive. We need to look at water supply. We have adjusted the biological opinions. We've taken 6 separate actions since the beginning of this year to adjust the biological opinions. That has resulted of making use of precipitation events.
And you're commended for that.
Fisheries too,
yeah, but let me just, on that point, excuse me, sure. Mr. Connor, and you have responded, and I want to acknowledge that. I do appreciate that. My questions to you is I think we can still do more. The exports between February 1st and March 31st in the Delta was 1.3 million total, 1,389,000 acre feet. The exports were 410,000 acre feet, which means it's been a 3-to-1 ratio in the last 2 months. I think we can do better, especially when you take into account the other factors you're having to deal with, which is the fish count on those that are being taken. And the fish count are de minimis, I would argue, on all the key indicators from juvenile salmon to steelhead to issues of, I mean, there haven't even been any smelt that have been taken at the pumps. So you've got a de minimis level of take here. You've had 2 months in this devastating drought where you've had 3-to-1 outflows on the Delta, and while we've made progress, I will acknowledge that we could do much more.
The time of the gentleman has expired, but real briefly, Mr. Carr.
Yes, I agree. We need to continue to look at opportunities to do more given the situation. The take at the pumps has allowed us to adjust some actions. We're doing that in concert with an aggressive monitoring program to ensure that we can provide more water while maintaining protections for the fishery.
And we're also working alongside state partners as required for salinity levels and the other needs of the delta.
No, and we understand that. That's appropriate.
Time of the gentleman has expired. Chair